Okay guys, if you can hear the music, not mine, sorry for wobbling the camera. I wanted to try to get you where you could see. Alright, when you're painting any kind of statuary, ceramics, or anything like that, and excuse the bad hair day, number one, don't paint in your good clothes. Do as I say, not as I do. I didn't feel like changing, and my painting smock's in the wash. So, or going to be in the wash. Anyway, I've got 3 snowmen here that were in a fire. They got a lot of smoke damage, but they're okay. But the texture of the ceramic, can you see how pitted that looks? That's going to cause you to paint your ceramic differently. That's good. Stuck my thumb in paint. It's going to cause you to, I almost said it's going to cause you to stick your thumb in paint. Sorry. It's going to cause you to paint your ceramic differently. Let me move this little guy and give you, because I was having trouble and I thought, well, I haven't shown them this yet. This is way too much paint. That's because I dropped my paintbrush in the paint, so it's the wrong size paintbrush anyway, so I'm going to drop that back in the water to clean it off. I'm using a smaller, it's one of your bigger detail brushes. Finding the camera because your phone, my phone's upside down so that you can see what I'm doing. Now, normally when you're painting anything with a smooth surface, this is fine for a smooth surface. See how the paint's on there? Let me clean the paint off. This is not going to work for us. That's for gliding over like this. That's for a stroke. We're not using that. When you have a pitted surface, you want your paint on the top of on the face of the brush, right there. You're going to poke it right at the, you're doing that move. You're not doing a stroke like this, you're doing a poke. When because of the pitting, you can't do a smooth stroke unless it's got previous coats on it like that does. Now, if you don't have that, and you're starting this, or even if you do have a previous coat, it might not work that way. So take your paint and just make sure it's on the very end of the brush, the face part of the bristles, and you're going to dab. You're using the dab and pull away. Don't even push down and drag. Just put down the brush, put a little pressure straight down, and then pull away. Okay? So you're not moving your brush. You're going straight down, pull away. And you're going to need to load your brush more because you're not getting a lot in there. But put your brush down, little pressure, pull back straight. That's all you're doing. That is a dab technique. That's what I call it. Remember, I'm not trained by anybody. I'm learning this stuff as I go and teaching it to you from what I've learned. And this little snowman and his fellows has been, I've been so glad to get them done and get them somewhere else out of my life. They're cute, they're a pain. And you're gonna come across things like that. I don't care if you're painting canvas or if you're painting statues or signs or whatever you're painting. You're gonna come across one painting or drawing or whatever that's just gonna be, and see, you can do this as a quicker technique. You don't have to go real slow. You're gonna come across things that are gonna be a right pain. And if you're used to the technique, you can load out of your bottle. But if you're not used to the technique, pour some paint out on a paint palette. It'll be easier for you to load the brush. Just load the brush by doing that. You load the brush the same way you paint with it. Just straight down to get the paint right there. So you can go quite quickly, but you will run out of paint quicker. See, I'm just going straight down in the bottle. Oh, you can't see. Straight down, straight back up. Creates a bubble of paint around the tip. And if you've got a large area, you can let that bubble stay there. Now you're going to have to do some cleanup painting. And you'll do that the same way. The only reason you saw me use a stroke just then was because the bristles in the broom here are textured to go down. So I can use a stroke in that area. But you see, I can't where this is pitted. It won't work that way. And when you've got something that's pitted like this, it's going to take more coats because it sinks down into the pits. And that's fine, but then you still have the surface of the pits to paint. It's like a bad case of acne. But don't let it frazzle you. So it doesn't mean you can't do that kind of work. It just means that you got to go about it a different way. Because see, it's even on the face. So, and if you have a small area and you don't have a detail brush, and you have an extra makeup brush for like eyeliner or something, rinse that off and tell your wife, you know, I'm borrowing your brush, or go raid your makeup kit for your most hated brush that you never use. And you can use those to paint with. Or if they're cheaper where you're at, the makeup brushes say are 50 cents cheaper than a paintbrush, grab the makeup brushes. They will work as well. Because what is makeup? You're painting your face too. Sorry, we had a car going by the apartment awful slow and I was wondering about it. But normally you have a texture. See on the tree how it kind of goes down? That means you can use a stroke. But on a pitted surface like this, it's not going to work that way. So see where I got some on the scarf? I'm going to have to go and fix paint that. And it might make your paint job look, it's going to make your paint job look rougher. The texture of the item you're painting has a lot to do with how the paint job's going to look in the end. So don't beat yourself up if you wanted this nice smooth paint job but you couldn't get it because the statue or whatever you're painting is pitted or something like that. That doesn't mean you can't get it to look good. It just means you're going to have to take your time, go slow, go over it with more than one coat, and just use a different technique when you're painting it. And just keep in mind that there's going to be crags and the paint is going to soak downward. Gravity at work. And you will have to do cleanup painting, and it's not going to be a completely smooth. It's not going to be smooth. It's not going to be a completely smooth look when you have a really heavily textured piece. Just give up the idea of a smooth look. But with these snowmen, if you think about it, in reality, when you make a snowman, they're not smooth. Because when you pack a snowball, it's pitted, right? Fingerprints and whatnot. And so maybe that's where they were going with this. That's fine. I just have to keep aware that it's going to take a different technique. And it might mean a lot more finished painting when I get done, because the areas can't be smooth. Some areas are going to be harder to smooth out. I'm not going to say they can't be, but they're going to be more difficult. Some areas, like under this hat, if it's not exactly pitted, but you're having trouble smoothing the area out, take some of the bulbous paint off your brush so that you still have it loaded, but it's not heavy. Let me move the paint bottle so you can see what I'm trying to tell you. Your hat brim here is kind of smooth. So I have a smooth area to make an actual stroke. But because of the small area, the paint might, plus the black wasn't completely dry apparently. That's okay. I just have a little extra that I had to get off my brush. That's no big deal. Sometimes I take a damp brush, not wet. You don't want this wringing wet. And you just tap it Hold on, I'm having camera issues. Just tap it. Tap, tap, tap. The damp brush to get some of the extra paint off. And then wipe it on a towel or whatever, and then put it in the water and clean it. And your cup with your water is going to get cruddy looking. Just change the water and the stains on the side. That's why you use a cup you don't want to have to worry about. If you've got kids and they want to help do this, and you've got an empty egg carton, fill the egg carton wells with paint. Put the paint brushes on the lid of the egg carton. And they can use that, and then you just throw it away when they're done. If you don't have a palette, or you want to paint with them at a park or a pretty nice outdoor setting, but you still want to, you can transport the paint in the egg cartons or in the bottles and just clean up by throwing away the egg cartons. Now what I did, and I'll show you just a second, let me get this finished. I had some orange because I was painting his carrot nose. But the problem is I had an area under the eye that I needed to get to. And when you're painting facial features, well, when you're painting anything, everything's not just a flat surface, and the sun shines the same on every little piece. Under the eyes, especially the way he's got his head turned, the carrot nose and everything is going to throw some shade here, you know, and right here. So I mixed a little bit of black in with my white, and I used the gray. Now I did that on purpose. It looks like a football player, but bear with me. Create the gray. I'm using that as a point to show you. But see how I created a black smudge? Right there is where some of the shadow's gonna go. So what I'm gonna do is grab some white. I need a new bottle of white. Not much. See, not much at all. And with the black I put on there, it's just gonna create a really light gray. And that I can go over with a bit of more white to smooth it out so that it matches and blends in once it dries a little bit. And sometimes you don't need to wait a day or whatever till it dries. Just blow on it a little. Now I'm going to load this part of the brush a little heavier. And you can twist your brush to keep the drops from falling. And now I'm doing the dab technique, but I'm purposely leaving a puddle, I guess you could say, of white. Alright, see? Now you can't see the gray no more. No more gray, no more black. So I come in there with my dry-ish, my damp brush, and now I'm just moving some of that white off. Using it in a few other, dabbing it away. And keeping with a few areas that still need shade and redoing the same technique. And what it does, when I wipe away the excess white that I put on earlier, you'll get a little bit of the gray still showing through. But not too much. That way you still have the shadow look. And you can use a pink or, you know, like a light red or a pink if you need like rosy cheeks. That would work that way too. Now, as you can tell, he's got other areas I need to work on. But I have trouble seeing even with the lights sometimes at night. So I'm going to put these up. But I wanted to talk to you about painting on textured ceramics. It can be difficult. Slow down, take your time, and if you feel yourself getting aggravated, put it away. Put the painting to the side and step away. You don't need, this is supposed to be fun. You don't need to be annoyed by it. And also, if you need to get in a real small area, sorry, I know you didn't need to see my armpit. If you need to get in a real small area, these are your best friend. A toothpick can help you get in the cracks to get a mouth, such as this, instead of smearing black everywhere. But if you're frustrated with it, if you've had a bad day and the painting usually calms you down, but it's not working today, do not stress yourself over it. Just put it away for a while. It's everything like that with life. I mean, I wanted these done tonight, but because of the way the painting is, and I can't seem to get the finished painting smoothed out like I want, now I've got to repaint several areas, which makes me very unhappy. I'm putting it away because it's annoying me. And I'm going to work on my Nancy Drew computer game that I play with my friend. We play this, we have the same computer game loaded on both computers, and we actually play it together over the phone. And I'm stuck. He's up ahead of me, so I'm going to play some catch up with my Nancy Drew and do that. But that's a little bit about painting like that. It's supposed to be fun. So don't stress. Slow down, take your time, and if my techniques don't work for you, don't be afraid to experiment. Pardon me. They were mowing the grass. Don't be afraid to experiment with different techniques. I've learned all of this on my own. I learned first how to draw and do canvas work at Art Glue. No one taught me the ceramics or the wreath making. I've taught myself all of that. So don't be afraid to teach yourself something. I hope you have fun. Have a good evening, everybody. Bye.